Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prishtaya, Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So we continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 29, Chapter 4. Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 43. Nabo dadati swashatam padam yanniyamad adaha lokam swadeham tanute mahan saptabir avritam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Subject to the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sky allows outer space to accommodate all the various planets, which hold innumerable living entities. The total universal body expands with its 7 coverings under His supreme control. So yesterday we were hearing how Lord Kapila Dev is saying that the fire burns because of fear of the Supreme Lord. The sun is shining because of the fear of the Supreme Lord. Everything is happening in place because of the control of the Supreme Lord. We may think it's happening because of me, but then that's just our thoughts, our imagination. But not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So it's continuing. Over here, it is understood from this verse that all the planets in outer space are floating and they all hold living entities. So sometimes we see in movies or that in other planets other than Earth planet, there are no living entities. Or sometimes they say they are living entities, but they're really not very good looking or very weird looking. But that's not true. The Shastras, they teach us that in the higher planetary systems, as we go higher above the Earth, the living entities are more and more beautiful. Over there, the atmosphere is more and more beautiful. There is more variety to enjoy life. Of course, it's all still within the material world. The word swasatam means those who breathe or the living entities. In order to accommodate them, there are innumerable planets. Every planet is a residence for innumerable living entities, and the necessary space is provided in the sky by the supreme order of the Lord. So it's Krishna's order that in this universe there should be this much space, and so many planets are going to fit in this space. It's by Krishna's will. Like how an architect will build the structure of a building. So everything is happening. And so when the architect, everything's happening by the order of the architect. So who's the architect of this material world? Is Krishna. Of course, Lord Brahma, he's the secondary architect. Secondary. He gets his powers from Lord Krishna. So the universe is not empty. There is living entities everywhere. It is also stated here that the total universal body is increasing. It is covered by 7 layers, and as there are 5 elements within the universe, so the total elements in layers cover the outside of the universal body. So the 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether. These are the 5 elements, 5 gross elements, which comprise this universe. Now, the universe is packed by layers of these 5 elements. These 5 elements are inside the universe. Again, outside the universe, this entire universe is packed by layers. So the first layer is of earth. So suppose if we take it like circles, suppose this is the universe. Then there's a covering of earth over the universe. Then over the covering of this earth is, and it is 10 times, this covering of the earth is 10 times greater than the universe itself. So if the universe is 4 billion miles, then the covering of Earth around this universe is 4 billion times 10. And then after this covering of Earth is a covering of water. And the diameter of this covering of water is 4 billion times 100, because it's 10 times greater than of the Earth layer. Then another layer after the water layer is the layer of fire, which is again 10 times greater than that of the water. Then after the fire layer, there is, so each way this layer is 10 times greater than the previous one. So imagine if we were supposed to escape this universe by our physical endeavor, how could we even penetrate through all these layers? It's so packed and these layers are so thick. The universe itself is 4 billion miles. And then the universe is covered by these 5 layers, which is 10 times greater. It's really, really thick, Imagine like a prison, and then it has all these huge, thick walls. It's very difficult to penetrate, to escape from this prison of the material world. So gunabhi manino devaha sargadishva asya yadbhaya vartante anuyugam yesham vashat etat characharam. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the directing demigods in charge of the modes of material nature carry out the functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Everything animate and inanimate within this material world is under their control. So the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So they are under the control of Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu is in charge of mode of goodness, Lord Brahma is in charge of mode of passion, and Lord Shiva is in the charge of the mode of ignorance. Similarly, there are many other demigods in charge of the air department, the water department, the cloud department, etc. Just as the government has many different departments, so within this material world, the government of the Supreme Lord has many departments. So within this material world, the government of the Supreme Lord has many departments, and all these departments function in proper order out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in God's government, there are all these different departments. Various, there are 33 crore demigods. Have we wondered why there are 33 crore demigods? Because they're in charge of various departments. There's so many different departments. So now the air department is there. That's Vayudev. Water department is there. There's Lord Varuna. Cloud department. Cloud is Lord Indra. He's in charge of the rains. So there's so many departments, and they're doing their duties very properly. Why? Because it's the direction of the Lord. It's all under Krishna's direction. They understand Krishna is God, He's our leader. We have these duties to perform, we have these services to perform. So they're performing it. Just as in the material world, in the government, the ministers, they hopefully are performing their duties properly according to the order of the head of the government. So demigods are undoubtedly controlling all matter, animate and inanimate within the universe, but above them, the supreme controller is the personality of Godhead. So the demigods, yes, somebody is in charge of water department, somebody is in charge of air department. But for example, Vayudev in charge of air and Varuna Dev in charge of water. But they can't interchange it. They don't know how to control. One does not know how to control the other. The Lord of the water will not know how to control air. He knows how to control water. That's his expertise. Whereas the Lord of the air, he can control air. His expertise is in controlling air. And who are they listening to? All are listening to Krishna. So he's the boss. In simple terms, Krishna is the boss. He's the supreme controller. Therefore, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said Krishna Parama Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Undoubtedly, there are many controllers in the departmental management of this universe, but the supreme controller is Krishna. There are two kinds of dissolution. One kind of dissolution takes place when Brahma goes to sleep during his night. And the final dissolution takes place when Brahma dies. So Lord Brahma, he is the highest living entity within every universe. And Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. We might say, oh, just it, that's it, 100 years. But 100 years of Lord Brahma, not 100 years of human beings. You know, as we know that the 100, the cat has its own life cycle. I'm not sure how much it is. Or even a dog, you know, like a dog, 13 years will say, oh, it's a very old dog. But for us human beings, 13-year-old is just, you know, beginning adolescence. So the time is relative for different personalities. Even we can see on this planet. So similarly, time works different on higher planets. Lord Brahma lives for his 100 years. His 100 years. And that is, I think, 311 trillion human years or something like that, you know. It's a huge time, a huge quantity of time. Now we may say, okay, I want to become Lord Brahma. We can. If we work for it, we are qualified for it, then Krishna may appoint us as in the post of Lord Brahma. But Lord Brahma is also in the material world. Sure, he has a lot of power. He has the most power within the universe, but it's still within the material world. And one day he also has to die. And depending on his karma and his desire, he'll either stay back in the material world or he'll go to the spiritual world. Again, depends on what's his choice. So when Brahmaji sleeps at night, Brahma's 12 hours, one day is 12 hours. In his 12 hours is our Chaturyuga. Our Chaturyuga are Treta Yuga, Satyug, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. These 4 yugas, 1,000 times. So 1,000 of our this Chaturyugas is Brahma's 12 hours, his one day, and as long as his night. So after his day, when he goes to sleep, the lower planetary systems up to Swargalok gets dissolved. The living entities are all die. They're all sleeping within the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So that's called partial dissolution. Now, when Brahma dies at the end of his 100 years, then the entire universe collapses in the body of Mahavishnu. That is called total dissolution. So there are these 2 types of dissolution. One is partial, which is at the end of Brahma's day. That's during his night when he's sleeping. So at that time, only the lower planetary systems are destroyed, but the upper planetary systems, Tapalok, Mahalok, Janalok, Brahmalok, they are there. Those living entities are still existing. Only the lower planetary systems are destroyed. And when Lord Brahma dies at the end of his 100 years, the entire universe collapses. It's totally dissolved inside the body of Mahavishnu. So as long as Brahma does not die, creation, maintenance, and destruction are actuated by different demigods under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. So as long as this universe is functioning, as long as there are living entities, and it requires all this management, till that time, the demigods are there. They're doing their proper function, whatever they need to do. All that is happening under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. He says that this material nature, she's my energy, Mayadhyakshena, and she's working under my supervision, under my eyes, Mayadhyakshena. She's my energy and she's working under my supervision. I'm watching. So nothing is automatic. Everything appears automatic by the superior arrangement of Krishna, by the excellent arrangement of Krishna. So reading on. So ananto antakarakalo anadir adikrit avyayah janam janena janayan marayan mrityunantakam. The eternal time factor has no beginning and no end. It is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maker of the criminal world. It brings about the end of the phenomenal world. It carries on the work of creation by bringing one individual into existence from another, and likewise, it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death, Yamaraj. So Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Kalosmi, time I am, and the great destroyer of all the worlds. And I'm going to destroy everyone except you Pandavas. So Krishna, time is Krishna. Time is Krishna. We say we don't want to surrender to God, but at the moment of death, we surrender to God in his form of time. By the influence of eternal time, which is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Father begets a son, and the Father dies by the influence of cruel death. But by time's influence, even the Lord of cruel death is killed. So the Lord of death is Yamaraj. He's feared by everyone. No one wants to ever have a meeting with Yamaraj. Imagine if we say, make an appointment. The Yamadut, suppose we get a call from Yamaraj's office. Hey, how are you doing? You have an appointment with Yamaraj tomorrow. What would go through us? How would we react? But it's going to come. One day we are going to have our moment, but hopefully at that time it's not Yamaraj. Hopefully it is the Vishnu Dutas who come to take us. So anyway, Yamaraj is a Mahajan. He's a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. He's one of the 12 great Mahajans, pure devotee. But by time, even Yamaraj has to die. Even he's not eternal in this material world. All living entities in this material world are in the temporary bodies. So the death is always for the body, not for the soul. It's for the body. And who has done this design? It's Krishna. The father begets the children. After some time, the father dies. This entire arrangement is made by Krishna. It's a question of intelligence. Is like, why should I die? I don't want to die. Let me begin inquiry. What's happening? In other words, all the demigods within the material world are temporary, like ourselves. Our lives last for 100 years at the most. And similarly, although their lives may last for millions and billions of years, the demigods are not eternal. So Vayudev, Chandradev, Suryadev, Indradev, they're going to die too. Brahmaji is going to die too. They're not eternal. Each has to give up the body. No one can live within this material world eternally. The phenomenal world is created, maintained, and destroyed by the finger signal of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's all happening by the design of the Supreme Lord. Krishna, he's the architect of this material world. He's created the laws of this material world. He's made the systems that, okay, the demigods are going to live for this long, human beings will live for this long, the animals will live for this long. It's all God's arrangement. It's all his arrangement. Can you imagine his intelligence? How he's thought over everything. Amazing intelligence. So therefore, a devotee does not desire anything in this material world. The devotee desires only to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we say, if we analyze, we have so many masters. We'll say, no way, what do you mean master? I'm my own boss. I have my own company, I'm my own boss. But we see, we are serving everyone. We serve our parents, we serve our children, we serve our spouse, we serve our siblings, we serve our grandparents, we serve society, we serve our pets, we serve our neighbors, we serve our bosses, we serve our employees. We are serving. If we see, what are we doing? We are serving. So we have so many masters because we have given up our original master, the Supreme Lord. We simply have to serve the Supreme Lord, and automatically all the other living entities will be pleased. It's like watering the root. When we water a plant, we need to water the root. We don't need to individually water each and every branch, each and every leaf. If we simply put water on the root of the plant will become beautiful. But if we try to individually water each and every leaf and the branch, the plant will die. So similarly, we need to just serve the Supreme Lord. This servitude exists eternally. The Lord exists eternally, the servitor exists eternally, and the service exists eternally. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 29th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila. So God is eternal. It's not that God lived 5,000 years ago on this earth planet and now he's no more. No, he's still existing. He's still speaking Bhagavad Gita in some planet, in some universe or the other. And at the same time, he is also in his own spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan, which is the highest planet in the Vaikuntha Lok. So God exists eternally. Now, the living entities, we also exist eternally. We may be either living in the material world or we may be in the spiritual world, but we exist eternally. We may be having a material form or we may be having a spiritual form, but the living entity exists eternally. Similarly, our nature to serve God exists eternally. It can never be destroyed. Never be destroyed. It's like sugar. Sugar can never stop being sweet. Can you imagine, oh, I want unsweetened sugar. Now we ask for unsweetened sugar. But then that's not sugar. Those are substitutes, right? But sugar itself is sweet. When we say sugar, automatically comes to mind sweet. Salt is salty. Chili is hot. Similarly, living entity, eternal servant of Krishna. And because we don't want to recognize it, we have forgotten it, we are here in the material world. So the more we hear about Krishna from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the more we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we will gradually revive our love of God, and we will be situated in this loving relationship and engage in this loving service. This loving service is called bhakti. So the more we hear and chant, it will bring us to this platform because it is natural in our heart. It's not artificial. It's not artificial. Like a baby, when he's learning to walk. So the parents also encourage him. They make him practice to walk. He may fall down, he may hurt himself, but he'll get up again, practice to walk. People around him also encourage walk. And one day he walks and then he starts running. This is a human baby we are talking about. And now, the human baby, the father, mother never tell him, you flap your wings and one day you will fly. Never they tell him that. Why? Because the ability to fly is not there in the human baby, but the ability to walk is there. So the parents are always encouraging, walk, walk, don't worry. Okay, you fell down, doesn't matter. Get up and you walk again. So similarly, devotional service, love of God is there in each and everyone's heart. We simply have to revive it by hearing and chanting. Is that okay?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
You said Brahma will also this thing die according to his karmas. When he is the creator, what karma would he do? Like anything wrong, that something wrong would happen with him?
He may not do something wrong, but he may do something right. So even if you do good karma, you will get good result. Then
maintain the position, like after being good, like if he's done all good karma, doesn't he still stay at the same position?
No, so you see, well, he may, but then again, still he's in the material world.
So even his karmas, a human being karma is counted, or any living entity's karma is counted?
Yes, so what happens is we create karma in this human life. When in human life, we create karma. Then suppose we have done good karma, okay, we become Brahma. Right? Now, after becoming Brahma, then for a certain, whatever, 100 years of Brahma, then that karma finished, right? But we have so much other karma which we have to work for. Either we have to go down as animals or become another demigod or something. That's how law of karma works.
Yeah, but that's why like entities like us, but like since Brahma is the creator, he's created everything to the point of perfection, what he's learned from Lord Krishna.
Yeah. Yes. So the idea is, so Lord Brahma, he's there, but he has a time limit to be Lord Brahma. And as Lord Brahma, he's doing certain activities also. Now, when his time limit is finished, even there is a decision going to be made for him. Where is he going to go? Is he going lower species of life? Is he going to come down to the earth as a human being? Or is he going to go to another planet as a demigod? Or is he going to continue to remain Brahma in his next life? Depends on his karma. If he is a pure devotee of Krishna, then he goes back home, back to Godhead.
Okay.
If Brahma is a pure devotee of Krishna, then he goes back to Godhead. Our Brahma of this universe is a pure devotee. He is our Acharya. We are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. So our Brahmaji is a pure devotee. But not all Brahmas are pure devotees.
Okay.
Yeah, so laws of karma are very intricate. We may say, I'm doing very good karma, right? That's all right. We do very good karma, but it will take us to the heavenly planet for a certain number of years. Suppose I have done good karma, which allows me to live in the heavenly planet for 1,000 years. So I will stay there for 1,000 years. Then again, I'm going to come back to the earth. Or if my karma is that I have to take as an animal, then I will become an animal. All depends.
Okay.
So even doing good karma keeps us in the material world. It does not take to the spiritual world. That's the reason we have to learn to do spiritual karma, which is called a-karma. That is devotional service. That is offering all the results to Krishna. And by doing that, then we are stopping this cycle of karma. Then we do not need to take birth again.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It's all right. It's clear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, actually, as I learned, like Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, they all are living in the same planet, right? So their existence is permanent. Brahma and Lord Shiva. So why they need to take birth again and again? Like, it is quite confusing.
So Lord Brahma is a living entity. He's also a
he is-
living entity. So he is also occupying the post. For example, when the government changes, then the department head changes. The minister changes for the education, or minister changes for agriculture. Similarly, when the time for Brahma is finished, then he has to take another birth.
So you mean Brahma is a post? And it
Yes, Brahma is a
circulates?
post. Yes, Brahma
Okay,
is a post. All the demigods is a post.
Okay, okay.
The Indra Dev, Vayu Dev, Surya Dev, all these are posts.
Okay. So they have some fixed duration or based upon their
Yes.
karma, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Only God is not a post. Krishna,
Yes.
that's not a post. We cannot become
Yes.
Krishna. We cannot become God. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.